Sarah Cooke with the Credit Union Connection. Remember when AI felt like science fiction? Well, it's 2026 and we're living the future. It's like the Jetsons up in here. ChatGPT opened Pandora's box, and now credit unions are racing to figure out how to use AI without, you know, accidentally building Skynet. Today, I'm talking with Tom Church Adams, founder of Credit Union AI News. Tom's got over 15 years of experience in fintech, and he's on a mission to help credit unions navigate this wild AI landscape that he has been so involved in, including within credit unions himself. So, from fraud detection to chatbots that actually work and answer your questions to the stuff that happens behind the scenes and nobody talks about. We're getting into the nitty gritty, where to invest, how to build strategy, where robots are coming for your jobs, not, and why cranes might actually be the secret weapon in an AI dominated world. So buckle up, it's going to get interesting. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Sarah Snell Cooke, your host here at the Credit Connection. I am joined today by Tom Church Adams. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And he is the founder of the brand new Credit Union AI News. And when I saw this, I had to reach out to him. Tom, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, sure thing. So I've been in the financial services and fintech industry and technology industry now for over 15 years. And I've worked at credit unions and credit card companies and banks and technology organizations. And I really wanted to sort of spend some more time in what I'm passionate about and connecting that to what I do. And so for many years now, I've been sort of reading about, understanding, and staying in touch with everything that's happening with AI. And all of a sudden, it's sort of blown up and become a real sort of talking point across all channels. And I realized that there was an opportunity for a platform that was purely focused on AI for credit unions, and helping them navigate through these really turbulent times.
Hmm. Absolutely. And AI, of course, has been part of the turbulence. It's moved so quickly. Um, you know, I, I feel like since the release of ChatGPT, because it's so accessible, it's so easy to understand how it works, at least on the front end, maybe not the little gadgets and widgets in the back end, but how it works and what you can do with it is so obvious. So I feel like that kind of spurred people to move swiftly, and credit union leaders have really moved beyond that initial education phase that I feel like we were in the first year and a half, and now we're really starting to act swiftly to engage somehow to better run their credit unions, to better serve their members. Have you ever seen anything like this in tech in your time? And why do you think AI has been such a, gangbuster?
Yeah, I have not. And it's honestly such an exciting time to be in this industry because things are moving so fast and there's obviously plenty of risks and that kind of thing, but there's this huge amount of opportunity. Um, I guess a lot of the reasons why it sort of is moving so fast is because the technology builds on itself every day. It's learning from itself, it's being taught how to learn from itself. We as a people are learning how to use it every single day, and we're sort of shaping it as we go. And because of that, and also the fact that the technology can be applied to almost every aspect of our lives, including within the credit union industry. And so it's such a exciting and turbulent time that, I think that, we should lean in and enjoy the moment.
Exactly. No, I love the way you just phrased that because there are obvious use cases that get people excited. Again, kind of going back to that Gen AI with as far as writing any kind of writing or presentation talking points, things like that. And also at a credit union in particular, you're going to have the member experience aspect through the agentic AI, which is super, again, pretty easy for people to understand chatbots that actually function on their own. And it's kind of been in existence just in a different way now. I think that AI has really exploded. And so let's start there with that, like, kind of, I want to say obvious kind of use case. How are credits using these elements and how could they be doing it more effectively?
Yeah, I mean, there's no sort of, team or department or function that can't use this technology, whether it be in the fraud teams, customer service, member service teams, technology, product teams, and it can apply to anything, right? It can apply to a product manager who wants to manage their portfolio better. They want to understand their products better. Maybe they want to teach other employees and members about the product more. But really, my advice to a lot of credit unions is to make sure they have a central hub and team that are really focused on the direction they're taking the credit union as it relates to AI. Because I think that, if you have sort of lots of different teams and groups within the organization, there's a lot of sort of communal knowledge that they can bring in together and share and sort of make sure that as an organization, they're on track and sort of aiming for the same trajectory.
Absolutely, because yeah, the technology team needs to work with the lending team, needs to work with the marketing team, needs to work with the executives. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to ask about strategy. One of the first things that I want to get to is, coming off of that, the what I call obvious use cases, there's also the back office stuff, the less sexy
Mm.
stuff that
Yeah,
tends to get less attention.
yeah,
And so some other use cases like in fraud prevention and detection, huge issue right now for credit unions, top of mind definitely for a lot of leaders, automations, document review and handling. How many documents you sign in a mortgage, right? Or like a business loan. There's so many things that
right,
could
right.
go, seems like they could go more efficiently and that could be the real time and money savers. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely, right. And I think that the one thing that you have with AI tools today is there are group chat functions, right? There are project chat functions that allow teams to sort of communicate directly. And as long as you're sort of entering in your system details, what's existing within the credit union, your portfolio data, you can actually have communal conversations about managing these sort of back office systems and be more in touch than ever before. And there's one thing I know about credit unions is the amount of tribal knowledge that sort of exists within individuals and teams within different departments is one of the biggest sort of assets and challenges they have. And it's one of the reasons why if an employee leaves the credit union, they're often stuck with losing that tribal knowledge. Whereas
Right.
now you've got people that are sort of engaged in these sort of group chats, these group projects that can share what they know about the system, share what they know about the legacy data, and they can say, hey, I know this is here and I know how to work this information and I know how to apply it in this situation. And then if they're not there, there's a track and there's a record of that being talked about. And that makes it a lot easier for leaders, operations, different teams to really sort of stay in sync, whether someone's present or not.
Hmm. Yeah, which is great. I love the idea of using new technology to maintain the legacy knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so, and getting back to your earlier point about setting a strategy, having a hub, investing in AI, where should credit unions be investing? How much? Like, not exact dollars, obviously going to be different for every credit union, but where does a credit union start and continue?
I mean, obviously, the biggest thing is their fraud, right? With AI, fraud is going to go up. It's going to become more sophisticated. You're going to get different players and different sort of bad actors now using different tools in different ways. And I think credit unions have to match the moment with investing in that area primarily and with a big focus. Now, that being said, uh, there are plenty of other functions within the organization that they can invest in as well. And the great thing about AI is there's actually it's very easy to stand up certain tools and technology in the beginning just to sort of figure out how to use them and how to apply it to the organization. And I think before, if you had a new technology that you had to bring into the organization, you had to sort of teach and train employees on how to use it. AI, as we all know, I mean, someone could log into ChatGPT or Gemini today, and they immediately have an intuition of how to use the tool, right? And I think that that's true of a lot of the sort of chatbots that exist within AI technology that credit unions can use. So they don't need to sort of wait to sort of stand the tool up. They don't need to sort of go real slow in sort of starting off with the initial sort of launch of it. I think there's a way to sort of iteratively learn from the tool and build on it within real time, as long as they have the guardrails around it.
Hmm. And so people are concerned, obviously, about it replacing their jobs.
Yeah.
That's a huge, and many of our creating business partners out there are emphasizing, no, it really helps employees perform better. It helps make them more efficient. They have more face time with members, that kind of stuff, which I mean, I assume is partly true. But do you agree with that kind of assessment of where it's
I
going?
absolutely do. And it's going to be a really sort of turbulent few years over the next sort of 1, 2, 3 years. That being said, there is a big opportunity for credit unions to figure out how their employees can partner with the technology, right? And at the end of the day, the employees of credit unions are always members of that credit union as well. And so they've got to take care of their members that live on the office floor as well. And I would say, as long as they're thinking about, well, how can these employees leverage the technology moving forward? I think they're going to set themselves up for the best possible future that they can. And honestly, if there's any kind of organization or movement or business platform that is ready for AI think it's actually credit unions. Because if you think about the nature of them, they're technically not for profit, right? They have managed to sort of navigate sort of this neutral ground between both sides of the political aisle, right? In terms of how they engage in Washington. And so they have sort of a community sort of feel and sort of drive, but they also have a sort of a capitalist way of sort of generating revenue for an income for their members to put back into the credit union. And so if you think about that model, that's actually a lot better position than a bank, right, for the future, because they really are driven by their shareholders and their shareholder value. Credit unions could sort of sit back and say, how as we as an organization can apply our mantra, our philosophy, and our mission statement to AI and the environment that's happening right now. And I think, that might be a great platform moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. I love that credit unions are the survivors. Yay. And more than survive, I would hope. But yeah, so when we were like prepping, when I first reached out to you, we talked a little bit about some of the huge tech names and what they're saying about AI in the world and how down the road, whoever knows how long that road is, it will displace jobs, but maybe that's going to cause a huge shift in everything in American life. A lot of us, a lot of people define themselves by their jobs, and or like, government support and how it supports its people in a democracy that is shifting from capitalist to potentially something different.
One thing I'll
Culturally,
add as
mental
well
health.
is,
Yeah.
sure.
No, go ahead.
One thing I'll add about credit unions as well is they lend out to people with commercial loans, with personal loans. And I think that even if they lose a lot of jobs over the next few years, there's a big opportunity for them to fund a lot of the entrepreneurship that's going to happen as well. And so, maybe it's enabling their members and their employees to sort of branch out, right? To be able to sort of live in the new environment. And we are going to live in a very sort of creative environment. We're going to live in a very sort of generative in terms of production for individuals. And a lot of what the experts are talking about is think now about how can you sort of build a business out of the tools that exist today. And
Mm.
I think that credit unions might be in a good position to sort of help with that shift.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great explanation of what may be coming down the road for us, because it'll create new jobs as well as as the time goes on. And so I want to ask you a little bit. We've talked very high level about AI, but I know you mentioned creating AI news is going to get a little more in the weeds. Can you talk a little bit about that, who your audience is and what you're going to be speaking to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really focused on credit union leaders and thinkers within credit unions who need guidance on what's happening around them. and need to have sort of a filter and on the existing AI and technology news and how that is applicable to credit unions. Now, it could be sort of for a CEO, a head of a department, a technology leader, but it's also the people that work in the credit unions that are sort of helping to sort of change and live within the movement. And I think I want to sort of make sure that this is the sort of main central hub for people to go to sort of think about those things in their credit union.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that because I think it's very much needed. And so yeah, I always allow my guests to have the final thoughts. What would you like to close the show out with and speak to our credit union audience today?
I think the one thing I would say, I mean, I'd say a couple of things. One is, credit unions in the past have been often very conservative when it comes to new technology or changes in the fiscal environment, whether it be sort of, um, digital currencies or, whether it be sort of medical marijuana or things like that. There's always something that's sort of changing the industry. And often what credit unions will do is they'll sit back and wait because obviously they have to take care of their members and their portfolio and their money in a way that's different to banks. They can't go and make any big sort of risks or big changes because there's a lot of risk for them. I think AI is going to be a little different. I think if they sit back and wait for things to happen, I think that they're going to be in a much worse position. And the big challenge is that no one really knows what our
Mhm.
society and our sort of country is going to end up being like. And I think that they're going to have to lean forward into that and be a little bit less conservative than they have been in the past. And I think the great thing about AI tools is that it's going to help them to think about that, strategize about that in real time. And as long as they're staying up to date with what's happening in the industry, what's happening with the technology, I think they're actually in a better position than they would be with other sort of risky environments. The second thing I would say is this is here, this is coming, our world's going to change dramatically. I would say lean into it. That's what my sort of mantra is. I love this technology. I know that it's going to come with a lot of sort of challenges and risks and problems and issues as time goes on. But I think the more we lean into it, the better we're going to set ourselves up for the future.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. I appreciate it, Tom.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.